Hi, church, and welcome to What Is It and Why Wednesday. Today, I just want to talk briefly about bells in the church. Now, here at Ascension, we don't have bells on the outside of our building. We don't typically use bells, but in lots of different churches, bells are used in many different ways. On Easter, I did get a couple questions about the bells that I used at the beginning of our service to announce the resurrection of Jesus. These are called chancel bells. Chancel bells are usually kept in the front part of the church, what we call the chancel. Now, typically, chancel bells are used during communion. You won't find too many Lutheran churches using bells in communion. Some do. Some will use an organ to play a few different notes. And the bell or the organ or the sound that happens during communion, and sometimes high liturgical churches, it's a tradition that dates back several hundred years, medieval times, whenever the Mass was said in Latin. When it was time for the words of institution, bells were rung to get everybody's attention so that everybody would look forward at knowing that something very important was about to happen. And so in our church, I use these bells typically at Easter. I call them Easter bells. It's not really a thing, but I call them Easter bells, but they are really called chancel bells. I'll ring them for you. They got a nice sound, but like I said, we don't use them for communion, but I do pull them out on Easter. I think it adds to the announcement that Christ is risen. And so bells on the outside of churches are used for the same reason that bells are used on the inside of the church, and that's to get people's attention. Lots of times the church was in the center of the town and would have had the bells or a clock. Before clocks were around, the bells were used to let everybody know what time it was. Time to get out of bed, time for daily prayer, time to come in from working outside. But especially on Sunday mornings, bells were used to let the neighborhood know that it was time to come to church, that it was time to begin worship. And so people would often stop what they were doing and take a moment of prayer, or they would come to church if they had been working outside and didn't know what time it was. So bells in the church have a very practical purpose. And I hope that the next time you hear church bells, you'll take a moment to pause and to worship with those who are worshiping underneath those bells. Or the next time, next year, when we proclaim that Christ is risen and we ring these bells to get everybody's attention, to announce that something really important has happened. And this year, as we rang that, it was to announce the resurrection of Christ. I hope that you found this What Is It and Why Wednesday informative. I'm always looking for new things to talk about, so message me, leave a message on Facebook or YouTube, or contact me directly and let me know some of the things that you've been curious about, because I'm curious about what you're curious about. So I hope that you found today's message about bells informative, and I look forward to next Wednesday. May God bless your day.